When you are strapped into a modern roller coaster and hurled upside down at 60 miles an hour, your brain screams that you are in absolute chaos. But that physical terror is a perfectly controlled illusion. You are experiencing a century of rigorous, calculated engineering disguised as a near-death experience. To understand how we mastered that chaos, we have to look back at the United States over 100 years ago to the very first wooden roller coasters. These early rides were just shockingly primitive. They relied on heavy wooden tracks, solid iron wheels like a train's, and the reliable pull of gravity to get a cart to the bottom. The engineering bottleneck happened at the end of the ride. Without any automated way to generate momentum, work crews had to manually push those massive carts all the way back up the steep hill by hand. Gravity provided a great drop, but the sheer physical exhaustion of resetting the system put a strict limit on how tall or fast an amusement ride could actually be. The first attempt to solve this exhaustion problem was brutal. Builders constructed wide staircases alongside the wooden tracks so crews could drag the empty carts back to the starting platform. Eventually, designers connected the two ends of the track, turning a single one-way slide into a continuous closed-loop circuit. But the breakthrough that eliminated human labor entirely was the electric chain lift. This diagram shows the mechanics of that fix. A continuous motorized chain loop sits in the center of the track. It grabs a hook on the underside of the cart at the base, drags it steadily to the apex, and simply lets go. By replacing human muscle with a tireless electric motor, engineers were immediately freed to build vastly taller drops and much longer tracks. However, dragging thousands of pounds of wood and steel up a steep incline introduced a terrifying new mechanical hazard. If that heavy, continuously grinding chain were to snap under the immense tension of a climb, the cart would violently roll backward down the hill. And as you can see, those primitive iron wheels sitting on flat metal rails offered absolutely zero braking friction to stop a reverse freefall. To counter this, engineers invented a critical safety mechanism, the anti-rollback system. It consists of a hinged metal piece called a dog suspended directly over a track lined with sawtooth-like gears. As the cart climbs, the swinging hook drags smoothly forward, bouncing up and over the slanted teeth. But the instant the cart slips backward, the hook drops squarely into the gear gap, physically deadlocking the wheels. That iconic, anxiety-inducing clack-clack-clack sound you hear as you slowly climb a lift hill, that is exactly this mechanical safety system doing its job. With catastrophic rollbacks mechanically prevented, designers secured the safety margin they needed to abandon flat tracks and pursue extreme, gravity-defying geometry. The next logical frontier for poster thrills was the vertical loop, the desire to send riders completely upside down. But there is an obvious physics problem here. On a standard flat track, the second a heavy cart loses its forward momentum while inverted, gravity will peel those wheels right off the rails. To conquer the loop, the roller coaster required its final major mechanical evolution, the three-wheel tubular track system. The large top wheels, or running wheels, bear the downward weight of the cart. The side friction wheels hug the inner edge to prevent lateral derailment. And critically, bottom upstop wheels hook directly beneath the rail, locking the assembly into a tight triangle. This physically traps the cart, even when gravity pulls downward. To master the inversion, engineers had to stop treating the track as a road to drive on and start building it as a continuous interlocking rail system. Which brings us back to the apex of the modern coaster ride, frozen at the exact moment a cart is hanging totally upside down. In this single suspended second, you are relying on all three historical layers of engineering. The chain lift that brought you up is gone, the anti-rollback hooks are dormant, but that three-wheel locking system is actively defying gravity to hold you firmly to the track. The modern roller coaster functions as a physical record of a century's worth of iterative problem-solving. The terror riders feel is a masterfully engineered illusion. Every drop, twist, and rhythmic clack is simply the audible confirmation of those mechanical redundancies at work.